everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English. We are talking about the West Asia war again. We know that the war is not ready to stop. Both Iran and US are bent upon their own demands. For Iran, it is about not surrendering. For Iran, it has been about retaliation through Operation True Promise 4 by maintaining asymmetric warfare, saturation strategy and axis of resistance, and for US plus its key ally Israel, it is about just trying to finish the top leadership of Iran. Today, as the war has continued for a very long time and the whole world has witnessed a major energy crisis, a lot of people are asking a question: what's the end of this war? What's the real ceasefire about? Nobody knows, because initially US demanded that Iran stopped its uranium enrichment, ballistic missile program, which Iran refused to do. At the same time, Iran also lamented the fact that US walked out of JCPOA, an agreement signed in 2015 unilaterally. US did not trust Iran despite the fact that Iran had signed up for the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and Iran said, I am open to inspection by IAEA. And despite that, the attacks went on last year in the 12-day war, and this year it has been 2 weeks almost and the war is not ready to end. In fact, both sides are now having unrealistic demands from each other. What does US want? Well, today, suddenly Mr. Trump seems to have changed his mind a little bit. Initially, he said that I want Iran only to end its nuclear infrastructure. Later, he said, no, we want a regime change in Iran. Now, nobody exactly knows what does he want. Sometimes the demand is open up the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has choked right now. Yes, the same strategic choke point from where about 30% of global energy, crude, oil and gas pass from. At the same time, yesterday Mr. Trump said, let's pause the war. He gave an ultimatum to Iran that if you are ready to surrender, if you are ready to open up Strait of Hormuz, we will call a ceasefire. Iran said not at all. After killing the top leadership of Iran, why will Iran now listen to American terms and demands? So therefore, Mr. Trump today says, let us create a new body, an organization that's called 15-point peace plan. A new plan. I'm sure this is reminding you of something else. It's making you nostalgic. Well, it's happening because earlier, the same Mr. Trump had also created the Gaza Peace Board for creating a ceasefire between Palestine and Israel. At the same time, we know that it never materialized. The war is still ongoing. India was also invited to become a member of the Gaza board, but India agreed to become an observer, not a full-scale member. India agreed to participate, but only because India promotes the two-state solution. India supports the cause of separate, peaceful coexistence for both communities, Palestinian as well as the Jewish community. But at the same time, India said, I am not going to send any military equipment in the Israel-Palestine war. Yes, this is the same time when US had also invited India to become a member of Pax Silica. Now, this is quite nostalgic because again, Mr. Trump is creating a peace board, and this is called the 15-point peace plan, in fact. It means that Iran should stop the ongoing Middle East tension. It means Iran is the one who has to call for surrender. US is not going to do much here. And the plan is about restricting Iran's nuclear program. Once again, the same demand. Nothing new this time also. Stop supporting proxy groups. Now, which proxy groups are we talking about? We know that Iran maintains an axis of resistance. These are spread across West Asia and these support Iran. Example, when Mr. Ali Khamenei was killed by US attack, it was all these people from axis of resistance, NSA, non-state actors of terror, Iran's proxy groups like Hezbollah, Lebanon. We all know about the southern Lebanon. River Litani is in the news right now. That's where Hezbollah operates. We know about militia in Iraq, for which US is now supporting the Kurdish forces to fight them. We also know about the Houthi rebel, a Shia rebel group that's predominant in the Yemeni area. In fact, there was a fear recently that what if the Houthi rebels start choking up the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, another important choke point in the world, which is associated with Yemen. Then, of course, you have the Hamas. So all these are supported by Iran. America demands that Iran should stop financing them. Iran should stop supporting them and immediately dismantle the ballistic missile system, because America knows, and there has been an article everywhere in the news today, that now the war is becoming expensive for Israel and US. Why? Because all the missile interceptor systems that these people are using, Patriot, THAAD, these are expensive. They take time, and a lot of critical minerals are needed to create them. To make radars, to make weapons, you need critical minerals like tungsten. You need critical minerals like gallium. Now the problem is, who will supply all these expensive minerals? The leader is China in this case. So tomorrow if China creates a supply disruption, will US not be in a tough spot? And now these are the reasons why US is getting worried. The missile interceptor systems are now getting exhausted. Stockpiles are coming to an end, but Iran refuses to stop. Iran not only is retaliating by attacking the various countries of West Asia, example Qatar. We recently heard about the very important oil LNG gas field that was attacked in Qatar. Can you please tell me the name? We have discussed it with the map in the Hindu class. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. We also know about Daghilia and Arkotiri air bases, both belonged to UK in Cyprus. So various areas in UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, all of these are now getting attacked by Iran. Why? Because Iran retaliates. Why will Iran not retaliate across military bases of the US? Iran will do that. So a war that was a bilateral affair is now a West Asian war. Yes? So US tells Iran, do not support these proxy groups. End your ballistic missile program, because US is exhausted eventually. But Iran refuses to do that. And that's why the war continues. Iran has rejected the proposal. Iran says no. We do not want any kind of diplomatic engagement because we don't want any sanctions from the US. In fact, Mr. Mojtabekhamenei, the new supreme leader of Iran, has been categorical. He says we will come to the table and have a ceasefire negotiation only when US allows us to have sanctions removed on our oil trade. US pays us war indemnity. Now, if you remember, US has been recently attacking civilian infrastructure in Iran. We know about the Qeshm Island, the arrow-shaped island in the Hormuz Strait. We know about the northern Iran, Kharg Island. Largest oil export terminal was also hit. So Iran wants infrastructure repair costs to be given by the US, and that's a fair demand. After all, US has broken the standard protocol, that is United Nations Charter Article 2.4. One country is trying to attack the sovereignty of another here. And this is not a preemptive attack. It is out and out an attack on someone else's sovereignty. So therefore, Iran wants that. And all these are tough conditions because we know US is not going to fulfill these conditions. Why will US remove sanctions from Iran? Why will US allow nuclear program of Iran to flourish when the allies of US like Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE are unhappy with that? They always perceive Iran as a major threat in West Asia, and that's the whole idea behind regime change. It is a joint plan, not just from US but allies of US as well. So both sides, as a part of the plan, are now making tough demands from each other. Very unlikely that these demands are going to come true. What exactly does the US want from Iran now? US says that you must limit your nuclear program, but then the question is, what's new in this demand? This demand has been ongoing in the last few decades. 2015, that's the reason why JCPOA had been signed. It was signed by Iran with the P5 members of UNSC plus Germany. But 2018, America walked out of the agreement. America doesn't trust Iran's commitment, so why this demand again? We don't know. Then America says end your support to Hezbollah, Houthi, Hamas, militia. And then Iran can't do that because these are the support groups. Then dismantle missile capability. And why would Iran do that? If Iran does that, it only means Iran is surrendering. In fact, Iran has recently used for the first time the dancing missile in the war. That means US indeed is afraid of Iran's equipment because it is capable of launching multiple warheads at the same time. Massive destruction to US bases and military. Now, US says reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Quite understandable. Why? Obviously because 1/3 of the global oil and energy passes from here. So therefore today, as Hormuz is shut, countries like India, China, South Korea, Japan are all getting energy hungry. The same Mr. Trump who used to put sanctions on Russian oil is today openly allowing all the countries to buy Russian oil because he knows there is no choice. The Gulf oil cannot reach people. At the same time, there are countries like Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, who are leaders in producing LPG and LNG. They can't also export because Hormuz is shut. So they are also complaining to the US, and they are US allies. So US wants to support its allies, otherwise oil and energy trade will see a disaster. And that's why now US tells Iran, open the Strait of Hormuz, do not put mines here, do not stop and attack ships here, and do not fine them too much. Allow commercial vessels, and Iran will not do that. US also tells Iran that accept United Nations monitor civilian nuclear program. That's what they want. So no enrichment of uranium within Iran, and again, Iran is not going to listen to that. If Iran would have listened to all these points, then US in return could have given Iran relief from sanctions. US could have given Iran some scope of economic cooperation, but the bigger question is, after so much destruction, why will Iran sign up for such a tough pact? Iran will not. Iran has said, no, I am not going to allow any military base of US in the Gulf region to flourish. I will retaliate. Then Iran says, you lift all the sanctions you have put on me. You allow me damages that you have done in the war. Pay me for that. Help me reconstruct. And stop Israeli action against Hezbollah. Now, this brings Lebanon in the news. We have seen that Israel and Lebanon have not had a peaceful relation for a very long time. They've had decades of war with each other. Today also, because Hezbollah attacked Israel to retaliate the death of Mr. Khamenei, Israel also attacked Lebanon. Lebanese government says we don't support Hezbollah, but Hezbollah are hyperactive. They are a very active group in southern Lebanon below the Litani River. Now, Hezbollah and Israel are having the warfare. In fact, in the news, there was quite a scary piece which said that Israel has been blamed of putting white phosphorus, use of chemical in warfare. So all these things were also in the news. Now what Israel is doing, it's trying to finish and completely bomb blast all the bridges, all the infrastructure near Litani River, so that Hezbollah cannot have a proper arms supply. So you see, the war is quite heavy in southern Lebanon. So Iran is telling US to ask Israel to stop attacking and capturing Hezbollah area, that is southern Lebanon, and permission to charge transit fee in the Strait of Hormuz. There are news that millions of dollars are being demanded by Iran for all the vessels and tankers that are passing from Hormuz. Iran wants to have a clear-cut right on that. After all, geographically, Iran controls that area. Yes, the narrow choke point of Hormuz. So both the sides are putting demands that are difficult to be fulfilled, and therefore the agreements are difficult to happen. These are tough negotiations. If it's unfair for Iran to accept these demands, then we know US would never agree to remove all the sanctions from Iran. US would never do that. There is a massive mistrust between the countries for a very long time. In fact, it was all over the news that perhaps US wants to put a puppet leader, a leader who is a US representative in Iran, Mr. Reza Pahlavi, the last, you can say, individual associated with the Pahlavi family, the royal family of Iran. But that did not happen because Iran maintained its theocratic hold on the country in the form of Mr. Mojtabekhamenei. Now what's happening? The proposal is quite like before. Iran says this is nothing new. It is the same thing that's being offered to us and we are not accepting that. But the interesting thing is that today Pakistan is coming up with a counter offer. Pakistan says that let me mediate between these two countries. A lot of people are intrigued. A lot of people feel that Pakistan is already right now engaged in an active war with the Taliban regime. We have seen the map. We have seen places like the Phoenix base, Bagaram base. We know all these civilian infrastructures have been attacked by Pakistani military in Kabul, in Afghanistan. It is an ongoing war. The controversy over Durand Line, the insecurity of Pakistan about Afghanistan-India relationship. So you see, anyway, Pakistan is engaged full term in a war. Plus, Pakistan is one country which has recently been accused of sending arms and weapons to countries like Libya, to countries like Kenya. And this is all when all these countries are under arms embargo of the UN. So therefore, right now, Pakistan's volunteering to mediate the talks sounds very, very incredible. It sounds very strange. And the talks, even if they are hosted Iran will not accept these talks. So you see, the entire zone is in war right now. So whether you talk about Iran or West Asia, whether you talk about Afghanistan, Pakistan, yes, even for India, it is about the immediate neighborhood being in a state of war, refugee crisis, humanitarian crisis, hunger, all these other side effects. But is there a solution that's around the corner? Not exactly. Is there a proposal of ceasefire that is going to work? Not exactly. So for now, the war keeps on continuing. A quick practice question here. Consider the following statements regarding the recent US proposal to Iran. 1. The proposal includes strict limits on Iran's nuclear program and dismantling of missile capability. Second, the US has offered complete removal of all sanctions on Iran as a part of the deal, the peace board, 15 point. 3. Pakistan has shown willingness to facilitate talks between US and Iran. Now, which of these statements do you think are correct? Which of these statements do you think are valid? Verify your answer, but you should also be convinced about why is this the right answer. I gave the answer this time. You should be able to understand why. If there is a doubt, feel free to express your opinions in the comment box. Here's a quick reminder about the Telegram channel QR code. For exciting UPSC news, exciting UPSC facts, please scan the QR code and become a part of our Telegram community. A quick reminder, at StudyIQ, we are celebrating the Safalta Mahotsav sale, which is valid until 27th of March. You have 2 more days and then you can enroll in any UPSC course of your choice, 27, 28, all fine. What's the benefit? 60% off you will get, and that's a major off. Plus, if you use my code SPLIVE, then more discount on top of that. So at a very humble and affordable price, you get 360-degree comprehensive UPSC preparation. Remember, it's a limited period offer, so hurry up and enroll today and definitely improve your chances of getting selected in UPSC Civil Services exam. Just like this year, more than 200 people have become successful, made us proud, and had their dreams come true. Thank you so much.